Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Valor. This is Jameson.
And this is Adam.
And we're here today responding to the Star Wars Episode 9 teaser trailer. And we wanted to just really come in here as Star Wars fans, and because you guys have seen all of our Star Wars content, and talk about our take on, these new Skywalker movies and everything we feel about them, both good and bad. Just to get into the Episode 9 trailer. Let's talk about this.
Rey is in the desert.
Let's break it down piece by piece.
Rey's in the desert. She hears a TIE fighter in the background over miles away. She looks behind her. She sees Kylo Ren's starfighter racing towards her, feet from the ground. She activates the lightsaber in a cool fashion, does this little samurai move that Jameson said, and she does this crouching tiger, hidden dragon thing over.
That's exactly what it is.
It is.
Yeah, and let's talk about this first sequence. First of all, I think it's so
over the top.
It's so over the top, but I'd like to think it's for a reason. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't believe that that's a real fight scene. I feel like there's something iffy. There's something iffy about it for me. I don't think JJ's a good enough director where I don't think he would over dramatize a moment for no reason. I have a feeling it's either a dream or it's a training exercise. Because why would anyone in the Star Wars universe or otherwise activate a lightsaber, turn around away from the danger, wait for it to get closer, and then start running? So that to me indicates that behavior.
She was just plopped there, and then okay.
It indicates that it's some sort of training exercise to me, or I guess, or a dream, or like
was that Tatooine or.
Right, we don't know. We don't know if it's Tatooine or Jakku, I guess, right? That's the other thing that everybody's been talking about. So, I mean, in terms of that first sequence, I think there's a lot to unpack there. I don't believe that that's really happening. Mm-hmm. And I guess we got to ask if it's really Kylo Ren. It's supposed to be.
Well, it's his ship, I think.
Is it his ship? I guess so, yeah.
It looked like his ship. I mean, it didn't look like a typical TIE fighter, unless...
yeah, you're right.
It looked like the Interceptor, but with the red, little kind of paint on it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then it was a little bit, but the points to it were a little bit more elongated.
Okay, that is specifically...
Maybe it's like an updated version of Kylo's...
I think that is actually... Well, let's think about Battlefront. That's pretty much the ship that you fly Kylo with, right?
It's a mix of the Kylo's and the Interceptor, the new Interceptors that they have in Battlefront 2.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting. But I'm assuming it's Kylo because... Who could fly that low to the ground that's, a superb fighter?
Well, let's think about Rian Johnson's thing for a second, right? We have him, projecting themselves into each other's lives, right? So isn't it conceivable that she could imagine him attacking her, or maybe he's doing a Force Ghost maneuver where he pretends to attack her and it's not really there? Because now we have that Force thing, which we both feel weird about, but it is now in the Star Wars universe.
Well, they have this weird telekinetic, whatever it is, bond that they have through the Force, which is really... It's, the only time we've ever seen that was with, Luke and
Leia, yeah.
Like when, doesn't Leia say, in the originals, I feel Luke, I know he's alive or something. And someone says, how do you know? She's like, I just know.
I just know, yeah.
So maybe that's the kind of thing. Maybe they're maybe they're related. Maybe there's something.
I think that's in Return of the Jedi, isn't it? When they're on Endor.
I think so. Endor, yeah.
And that's when you start to see Leia has the Force as well.
Yeah. So if we're going all the way back to that, it wasn't, it didn't come out of nowhere. But that's sidetracked.
Yeah.
But I do think Kylo Ren and Rey do have this maybe
connection,
sibling. Maybe they were siblings.
Maybe they're siblings.
Cousins.
So let's go forward, right? Because we've gotten into some other topics here, which are interesting.
So we're out of the sand, and because we don't like sand.
It's coarse and it's rough.
Yeah, sand sucks.
And it gets everywhere.
Exactly. Especially with the women and the children.
The women and the children. Oh man, I was just watching that and I had a good time though. I watched Clone Wars again and I had a very good time, especially the Camino sequence. I was like, you know what, this is fun.
Then we get
1/3 is sand.
1/3 is actually half of it is sand.
Mostly all of it is sand.
And then we get these mountains, these really cool.
Yeah, right. So are we looking at a new planet? Who knows? Let's talk about Billy D. Williams in Star Wars again. This is probably
Mr. Colt 45.
Colt 45, baby. That is probably the most exciting thing about the trailer.
That's the only thing I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
that's
be
my
honest
childhood.
here. I think that's really like why I would see this movie. I mean, not that I don't want to see it, and not that I dislike Star Wars or anything. Of course, I'm going to see it. But to me, the draw of this trailer is Lando.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's the center of it, and I think they knew that.
Yeah.
I think that was smart. It's great to see him back again, and he's just a character that's so beloved. I mean, to think about how many are left now, I mean, we really need Lando, and we're hoping and praying that J.J. Abrams uses him a lot.
Yeah.
And that he's not like an off-to-the-side type of deal.
No, I mean, the only other person that you really have is Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah.
Palpatine.
Oh, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the title. Do you have any predictions about why it's called The Rise of Skywalker?
Well, I've been watching some, different, YouTube channels speculating here and there. Some people want to say that Skywalker is now just a general term of the way of being. I think that would be the wrong approach.
Mm-hmm.
I think a Skywalker is a family name. Therefore, it is a lineage. It is a family that is known for using the Force for good and bad. You're not gonna say, I don't know, like anybody else. A Skywalker is a group. It is a family. So I'm thinking maybe either Rey is possibly a Jedi, Skywalker, or there's gonna be. I don't know. I mean,
that's a good
there would have to be what she finds out. Leia turns to her in the trailer, hugs her, and says, "Oh, honey, you're a Skywalker." And then she's like, "I'm a what?"
I'm a what? You're a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
We can't forget about Anakin too, because Anakin has got to have a play in this as well. Because if you're telling me that the Emperor's back, I mean, I'm assuming he's like Force Ghost back. So.
Yeah, well, they did confirm that he is in this movie, right?
Yes.
Right, so he is.
As far as we know, I mean, he came on stage. That was his laugh. Mm-hmm. So we have to assume all of that.
And also, another interesting thing is that the color for the Star Wars font is in a dark purple, dark blue, which is usually known with Force lightning. It has that Force lightning kind of color to it. So maybe there's something more with Palpatine or something, or
dark side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was a good idea. I mean, I don't.
I think he's one of the best villains ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with him being there, and I think that also means that Anakin's going to be involved as well. I mean, that would not surprise me.
Right.
They're going to bring our boy Hayden Christensen in there. Maybe even Obi-Wan. They'll have a little ghost party on Endor.
Isn't there talk? We're not to get too sidetracked, but didn't what's his name? Not
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor said he would do Obi-Wan again.
Right.
And
so
also, I think he whatever Obi-Wan project they had, whatever Obi-Wan thing they're doing, he's probably involved in because the fans are
I
crazy.
think they would test the waters with this and see if he still wants to do it, because it's a very high demand physically, and whatnot. So.
Then they're going to have to explain why Sir Alec Guinness was the ghost one time, and then young Obi-Wan was the ghost the other time. Oh no!
They can still do it because Ian McGregor is still young enough that they could still put Sir Alec Guinness into it. They could still do a later thing. It could be because that's what they're doing. They're doing in between periods.
Yeah.
Because you're filling up the gaps, and eventually there's always going to be a gap.
Remember one thing too. Actually, you brought up a good thing about the ship leaving in the first one. I mean, remember when the ship is leaving Rey? I mean, if you go back and watch The Force Awakens, there's so many things that are like, okay, this girl is linked to the characters.
I feel like that's the key to Rey, is that scene where she sees as a little girl the ship leaving.
Yeah,
Jakku.
And everybody kind of forgets about that.
Yeah, no, that's pivotal, because you gotta want to know what that. It's the same silver ship, isn't it? From
I don't know. I'd like to look at that.
It was just I don't know. I didn't really get a good look at it, but you got to realize or just really watch what is that ship? What is that design? Who could be driving that? Because obviously, it's either that someone dropped her off on that planet because her parents are dead, or her parents had to give her up because she was too much of a secret. She was too valuable as something against the Empire or whatever. Maybe they knew. Maybe they knew, like, okay, your uncle Luke or something was a Skywalker. It was a Jedi. Obviously, it skipped our genes or whatever, but you got it. And this is a pivotal time, so you have to make the same decision as they did in what's that movie? Rogue One.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Definitely.
You have to I think the whole thing about Star Wars is it's all about sacrifice.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice, like Anakin had to sacrifice his love, and he had to actually betray himself. Luke actually had to sacrifice his father eventually.
Yeah.
He had to let his father go. But he had to fight him. So this movie is all about, or the Star Wars, it seems like it's all about sacrifice in moving forward. So maybe
that's an excellent
the whole
point.
concept with Rey is the same thing.
That's an excellent point.
Don't fix what's not broken,
That's an excellent point. And I think out of anybody, I like J.J. Abrams a lot. I think he's a very good director. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he did a great job with Star Trek, and I think I liked Force Awakens a lot. So I trust him a lot. And I hate to say more so, much more so than other people that they've had helm this. I mean, including Rian Johnson, who I like as a director, but I didn't like his Star Wars movie. So because of that, I feel like they're going to get this one right. I think so. I think they're going to go back to the roots of Star Wars, hopefully without just completely doing another Death Star again and stuff like that.
No
more
Death Star.
No more Death Stars. So I have faith, and I think a lot of the themes that you're talking about will hopefully appear in this one. Sacrifice and those things that we cared about in the other ones.
No, I love Star Wars as much as I bitch about all these characters and storylines and the politics behind it and the script, the stories, the actors not wanting to do it or whatever. I mean, I always have to look back at myself and say, you know what? I love the original trilogy. Why should I say screw it? And forget about the ones that I love. So really, I want to really like this film. I really do. Honestly, I do. But I kind of feel like if just for me personally, like if it's not good for me, I might have to give up Star Wars.
Well, at least new Star Wars.
Yeah, but you can't bring back old Star Wars.
No, I mean in the sense that you could just enjoy the old movies.
No, I'll definitely watch.
And Rogue One.
And I did like
Rogue One is a good movie.
Rogue One was actually
it's got a lot of street cred out here.
The closest thing
Rogue One's got a lot of street cred. Yeah, that's got a lot of street credit in terms of the community of Star Wars fans. Right. I think people like Rogue One the most.
Right. But back to the new one. For the last scene that we see, we get a little glimpse of this turbulent storm, in the seas. And Rey, it looks like, what's his name? Poe Dameron.
Finn Calrissian, let's just be real.
Yeah, might as well be.
He's gonna be.
And they're looking into the distance, into this turbulent ocean water, and looking at this, what? Imperial Star Destroyer, or is it a mountain? Or?
I think that's the remains of the Death Star.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, no, it is, because it is rounded. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, it could be possibly the remains of the Death Star. And then we black out and we hear Palpatine giving his, his
little cackle.
So, like, what do you think that maybe he's, like, bunked up there somewhere?
I don't know, but I heard a funny thing on the Kevin Smith thing where they're talking about frying up some Ewoks and eating them. Oh, that was hysterical. But that's not Endor, though. That's not Endor, right? No. Endor never had weather like that. And also, it's not...
Well, we never really fully seen Endor. We just saw one,
That's true. And also, there's another point, is that it might not have... Well, it was next to Endor. So it would have to land on Endor, right? The shattered pieces.
Well, yeah, it did explode, so anything in that vicinity, but
unless there's another planet near it.
Yeah, they could do that. But I think it would be cool if they went back to Endor, and this is just, because realistically, let's say part of the Death Star came crashing onto Endor, it would be like a meteor.
Yeah.
So maybe change the environment.
That would make sense.
I don't know, I'm just speculating. But it looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks pretty...
Which Death Star is that, though?
Two would have to be two.
I guess it could have been one, right? Did we think about that?
No, one was. That's the thing that I don't get. Was one completely destroyed, or they the Death Star 2 is what we just saw like halfway?
As far as we know, they're both completely destroyed. Because all we saw was the explosion from far away. So technically, there could be remains from both of them. Right?
Went to the same place?
No. The Death Star 1 was near Yavin.
Yeah.
And
so
then
it's either around Yavin or Endor.
Well, I mean, should we bring our thoughts to a wrap here?
Yeah, I mean, if based on your, you seeing the trailer, out of a 10, what would you give it?
To me, in all honesty, I would say maybe a 6 or a 7. I mean, I don't think. When I'm really being honest about this, is I have a lot of nostalgia, and if this was coming right off of Force Awakens, I'd probably give it an 8. But because of The Last Jedi and how confused it made me about what's going on in Star Wars, to be really honest with you, it sort of takes away from a lot of the excitement I would have. I hate to say, we're feeling it out. But I'm into it. I think Lando is the biggest thing for me, and he's probably the majority of those points. Yeah. He's most of what makes my 7 rating. Let's say it's 7.
Yeah, no. So I mean, look, I'm expecting good things from it, but I'm gonna have my reservations. But I want this to be a good Star Wars film, and the trailer looks interesting, especially if they bring back Palpatine and of course Billy D. Williams. So Palpatine and Lando 1245. That's what I'm going for, and that's my final statement.
So, in conclusion, we hope you enjoyed this other episode of Film Valor with a couple of us Star Wars guys, because we love Star Wars and we always do Star Wars things. Of course, we'll probably have more Star Wars content in the future as well, because we just do that. That's what we do sometimes when we're testing special effects or whatever we're doing. So, very exciting. I know what we are looking forward to, though, or at least I am, is The Mandalorian. And if they do Ewan McGregor in an Obi-Wan series, I am there day one. I don't care what is going on. So, anyway, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Film Valor.